Mixing vocals can be tricky. Today I want to give you 2 tips to avoid 2 of the most common mistakes people make when they mix their vocals. The first tip, for the love of all that is holy, get rid of all that low end. Vocals don't need to have a lot of low end at all. Unless you are singing bass in an a cappella group or doing that cool beatbox thing where you go boom, and that needs to have a big boom to it, you don't need low end in your vocals. Here's an example. Here's a vocal that I recorded a couple years ago. Used a nice large diaphragm condenser microphone, and it sounded wonderful on the day of the recording. The vocal was thick and warm and felt like I was giving myself a hug with my vocals. I really enjoyed recording through this microphone. But here's what the raw recording sounds like.
I need someone to cause my heart of stone to melt away.
So you might think, oh man, that sounds nice and warm. Here come the questions. What microphone was it? Not the point. Yes, that's nice and warm. No, that's not how the vocal needs to sound in the mix. All that extra low end is not the vocal's job, so get rid of it. Case in point, this was just for the outro of this big epic song that's just the vocal and an acoustic guitar, but listen to how out of place the vocal sounds with all that low end.
I need someone to cause my heart of stone to melt.
In this instance, it's just vocal and acoustic guitar. Who should have control of the low end? The guitar. That should be doing the low end thing, just a little light low end on those low notes on the guitar. The vocal shouldn't be doing any of it. So what are we talking about here when I say low end? If we take a look at just the frequency graph here, it looks like on paper, like, okay, yeah, the low end is rolled off. But when we listen to it, we know that not to be the case. So what do? We use something like this. This is a low cut or a high pass filter, and you bring it up until all that excessive, like deep low end goes away. So let's try it.
I need someone to cause my heart of stone to melt away.
So that low is now gone. Let's just click it on and off so you can hear the difference.
I need someone to cause my heart of stone.
Just that one move. If we could only do one thing on this vocal, that's what I would do. It already sounds better with the guitar.
I need someone to cause my heart of stone to melt away.
Now, obviously in my mix, I would do a little more EQing on that and do some other things, but that would be the first place that I would start. That's solving the biggest problem of the vocal right there. And just if you're curious, here's what the vocal sounded like in the final mix.
I need someone.
No woofy low end in sight. It's nice and clear and crisp, and there's not a lot of wah-wah going on. Before I dive into tip number 2, if you want to learn my whole process for EQ, which of course applies to vocals, but really to EQ vocals well, you got to learn how to EQ everything well, how to hear the problems, how to know how to identify the problems, when to use EQ and when not to use EQ. I can't cover all of that in this short video, but I do cover it in this 3-part masterclass on EQ, and it's all free. Just go to homestudiocorner.com/EQ to check it out. All right, let's go to tip number 2. All right, the second tip has to do with dealing with the ringing high mids. There's this thing that happens. Someone who's smarter than I am could tell me what's happening, but there's something in the head of a human. Certain frequencies resonate, probably in all these creepy nasal cavities that we have. But anytime a singer sings loudly and certain vowel sounds, there's a resonance that comes out, and it can be kind of gross on a vocal track. So here is a vocal from that same song, but this is back in the chorus. And all I've done is I've rolled off the low end like we talked about already, but here's what that vocal sounds like. See if you can spot what I'm talking about in the high mids.
The world is not the way.
So aside from the jumps in volume that we're going to deal with a compressor later, there's a ringing. There's like a in the vocal that kind of just comes through whenever I sing loudly. Listen again.
The world is not the way.
Listen for it. It's like right there.
The world is not the way.
And now I'm going to help you find it. Let me find it first, and then we will all cringe together.
The world is not the way. The world is...
It just hurts. Let me turn it down so it's not so annoying.
The world is not the way it's supposed to be. The world is not the way.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, wouldn't anything sound bad if we boosted it like that? No. And the other thing you're thinking is, well, how am I supposed to hear that? Well, it comes with practicing the art of listening, right? The problem with people's vocals is they don't tend to listen to what good vocals sound like. They do. You listen to your favorite albums, but you don't really pay attention to what those vocals sound like, which is why your vocals tend to have all that extra low end or these weird ringing frequencies. The vocal needs to be able to sit on top of the mix without any frequencies jumping out and being annoying. That means get rid of the excessive low end, and it means getting rid of these whistly frequencies that can sometimes happen. Here it is again.
The world is not.
So we're just going to take a big old notch and just cut that sucker out. And the result is this.
The world is not the way. The world is not the way.
So I'm going to turn it on and off so you can hear the difference.
The world is not the way. The world is. The world. The world.
When I sing the word the world, there's this little birdie, this little that comes in. It goes away when I chop that out. So that means that frequency is not going to cut through the mix, especially once I add compression. It becomes even more pronounced, and we dealt with it here.
The world is not the way.
In fact, my voice tends to have two of these sometimes. So on the world, and then when I sang is, there's like this it's even higher that gets annoying. Let's find that.
The world is not.
So it's on that line there. Let's find that annoyingness. Here we go.
Is not the way. Is not the.
It's right there. It's probably, if you're like curious, I got to know why it does that. Some of it's probably just the resonant frequency of my face. Some of it's probably the microphone. A lot of it's probably the room in which I sang it. But it happens, and it's really easy to fix with these high Q, narrow bandwidth EQ moves called notch filters.
Is not the. Is not the. The world is not the.
So with those two EQ moves at 4K and 2.5K, this vocal now, with nothing else, sounds a lot smoother and doesn't have those annoying frequencies jumping out.
The world is not the way.
Now we could use compression to tame the word not because it's just too loud, but there's no weird frequency things there. It was just these two creepy EQs. So if I take these EQs off, or these two creepy ringing frequencies, here it is without.
The world is not the way.
And here it is with.
The world is not the way.
Go try that on one of your songs. Don't go hunting for all kinds of frequencies and just cut them for no reason. But they're typically, for most vocals that I do, I usually find at least one of these is bothering me. And it's usually up in the high mids. And when I deal with it, suddenly I can turn the vocal up and have it nice and loud without it giving me a headache. Before, there would be something in the upper mids that would annoy me whenever I turned the vocal up, and I kept having to turn it back down. But with this, we kind of suck out the annoying frequencies and let the rest of the beautiful vocal come through. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to check out that free EQ masterclass. I promise you it's well worth your time. Just go to homestudiocorner.com/EQ. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.